Hello, future millionaires, and welcome back to the Get Rich Slow podcast. We are your hosts, Adrian Shermer, Robert Delavan, and Lance Johnson. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody.
And we are joined today by Kathryn Gerhards. Hello, Kathryn.
Hello.
Am I pronouncing that right? Gerhards?
Yep. Nailed it.
All right. Both
Gerhards.
of them. Love it.
Nice. So excited about this. Can't wait to interview.
We got some links here. We're on a bunch of different platforms. You may use your own personal flavor: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and Amazon Music. I think there's actually a few others that we're on as well. And we're going to be posting this on YouTube if you'd like to see our smiling faces. Kathryn is with Rise Services, Inc. Rise, well, we're going to let her explain exactly what Rise is. So Kathryn is a born and raised Portland Oregonite, and she has a BA in psychology with a minor in American language studies. Since graduating
we should dig into that.
Yeah, let's get details.
I should say sign language.
Oh,
Sign
sign
language studies.
Gotcha.
Awesome. And it looks like you graduated in 2012, and you've worked with nonprofits providing supports to underserved communities. We're going to dig into that today.
That's exciting.
As usual, you can go to roi-fa.com for /events for everything that we have going on for the calendar for the rest of the year. And that is on the slide deck here, as well as in the details below. And so today we'll be getting to know Kathryn, learning about her and her story. And this is where I really, really want to encourage all of our listeners, go to the YouTube site.
Yeah.
Because man, the photo, Kathryn and
Frank.
There's Frank. And
There he is.
man, like she just, the duo is pretty incredible. So
I love this picture. This is so awesome.
He looks so ready for the picture. He looks like he knows that he's taking a picture, like 100%.
And
is this the actual dog that did the movie, or no?
Long lost relatives. Yeah.
and he only is having slight allergies at the moment.
Yeah.
So heavy breathing and so forth. But yeah, so we're looking forward to this. This episode is all about Kathryn and everything that she's doing and what has brought her to where she is today. So keep us moving. Okay, so the first question I have for you today, Kathryn, is tell us your story. No big deal. Just, your story. And how did you get where you are today? So let's start.
Let's start at birth and then just all the
exactly.
details.
Sit back, relax, pull up a chair, get cozy. Here we go.
Should I get more coffee?
Yeah, sure. All of it. I think I've had more than enough. So we'll see how this goes.
Good.
Okay. Well, I guess it's just the first thing that kind of came to mind is when I was little, people would always ask, what do you want to be when you grew up? And I never had a great answer. I'm the youngest of 6. And so it was just kind of assumed that you would go to college and you would just figure it out. But I always was interested in psychology. They say you get into psychology to learn more about yourself than it's really about other people. So like, what's wrong with me? / family dynamics.
Right.
And so I originally went to school. I wanted to be a sign language interpreter. And Western Oregon has the best sign language interpreting program on the West Coast. And so that's what I did. I took sign language in high school and then transferred it. I worked in a deaf office in between as well. So everybody in the office communicated in sign language. And then when I went to Western, I just kind of got disillusioned with it. Being an interpreter is really hard. And it's a hard community to serve. There's a lot of bias and stigmatism. Is that the right word? With that community. And so I just was like, man, maybe this isn't what I want to do forever. So I switched that into my minor because I really still love the language and the community. But then went back to psychology as my major. And it was just fascinating. I loved learning about psychology. Everything is new and different and exciting. And what they don't tell you is, what the heck do you do with a degree in psychology? It's not like a degree in finance where you know what the next step is going to be, or you don't graduate like with a job. It's just like, great, you can people go be free. And so after I graduated, I started working mostly with disadvantaged youth. So youth in DHS or Oregon Youth Authority custody in a couple of different programs. And those programs were all high crisis. And so
what can you define high crisis?
Yeah. So one of the programs that I worked at is called subacute. So acute is considered hospitalization level crisis for psychosis, suicidal ideation, self-harm, kind of everything else that you can think of. So it's subacute. So people would be discharged from the hospital into this program. And it was a 24/7 lockdown facility where we're trained on physical restraints. So people who are experiencing physical aggression, suicidal ideation, how are you with your body going to stop that person from harming themselves or others?
Whoa. Okay.
And yeah, so that was probably the most intense job that I had. So you're physically restraining people, 5 or 6 or 7 people to hold one person to keep them safe. And it
wow.
You just,
when you were getting to your degree, were you like, yeah, I'm probably going to be doing this?
Yeah, I'm going to get bit. I'm going to get bit for a living. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And
so,
okay. That's a picture in my mind.
Yeah.
What's that happened more than once? Okay.
Yeah. So
all right.
A funny story from there is you get crisis response trained. So like if there's a loud noise, you go towards the noise instead of away from the noise. And so I was meeting with a family one time and they're talking about their kid and there was a really loud bang. And I was like, I gotta go. And she was like, you're gonna run towards that? And I was like, yeah, I gotta go.
That's the gig. Wow.
Another good story, if this is the time for stories, this might be too long, but
yeah, don't worry about it.
I was pretty good at it. And so we had walkie-talkies where we would communicate, and the kids would sometimes, like, they didn't have a lot of control or power over the situation. So what they could do is like refuse to go to bed or refuse to move from wherever you wanted them to. And the best story is this kid had been refusing for a while. And so they called for backup over the walkie-talkie and I walked in and the kid was like, oh, you're here, I'm out. And just like went to bed. Like, good talk.
So you were the boss.
Yeah.
Yes.
That never happens with my kids. You're here. I'm staying up earlier.
You need to call Kathryn Lance at bedtime.
We need a house
about
call.
9 o'clock.
Yeah. And so it's just a lot of de-escalation and relationship building is what you're doing. Like, obviously you don't want to go hands-on. You want to stop somebody from getting to the worst moment of their day. If you can at all avoid it. And so staying calm in a crisis is something that I had to get very good at. And then, so that was subacute. And then after that, I worked at a day treatment program for kids in therapeutic foster care. So they would come to a treatment program during the day where they'd get sex offense specific counseling or drug and alcohol counseling or just deep mental health counseling. And then they'd also go to a high school that was attached to the program. So they'd get all their classes in a therapeutic setting. And then they'd go to a foster home that I also supervise all the foster parents. So I was really like up in these kids' business for 24/7.
Yeah.
Which was also high crisis because kids would come home doing things that kids do, like skipped curfew or didn't take the bus home or maybe smoked weed on their way home or whatever it was. And so just constantly being ready for whatever these 20 delinquent youth decided to do on their way home to exhibit control or power over their situation. And just having to navigate being the manager, but also the support for the parent, but also the advocate for the kid all at the same time.
Right. Wow. You're kind of boxed in there.
Fantastically
Adrian
interesting.
and I have to deal with Robbie and subacute sometimes.
That's true. I'm the
He bit me
taking
last
notes
week,
right
actually.
now. Stay calm. Avoid Rob's advancements.
Yes, exactly.
Slow, no sudden movements.
Yeah, it's all important. Keep your voice
His
calm.
site's based on movement.
You guys should take some tips from Kathryn.
Kathryn's got a hell of a resume right now.
Yeah,
I don't.
she does.
Jeez.
And you're only halfway through. So okay.
Yeah.
So
What's
I
next?
did all of that for about 10 years.
okay.
And all of those services were court ordered or someone saying, you're in DHS custody, you have to be here, or you're experiencing mental health issues, you have to be here. And it is really draining.
Unwilling participants.
Yes, to force people to change. Fun fact, it doesn't work very well.
No, it doesn't.
Especially teenagers who are like, I don't know, like my mom isn't answering the phone. I don't care about math. And so, but I need to get you to care about math when they have all these other crises going on. So like really understanding where people are at in that moment, and like, you don't have the capability to learn math right now because of these other things going on. And so we're going to sit in this moment instead of like, but think about your future. Like they can't, that's not helpful all of the time. And so anyway, so I did that for 10 years, and it just, I was on call for 3 years straight. I couldn't really go on vacation because I couldn't not have cell phone service, because if they couldn't get a hold of me, then who would they get a hold of?
Right.
And it just got to a point where there were some management changes in the position that I was working at. So it was just kind of time for me to move on. And I found this position at Rise Services, which is where I've been for the past almost 4 years. I was interviewed there by an all women panel, which was the first time in my career where it was just a bunch of like really cool women running this program. Our executive director is a woman. And it's what we do. I should have started there. We provide support to people with developmental and intellectual disabilities all across the state of Oregon. And so people with disabilities want the support, and they want the services, and they will wait for the services, and they choose to engage or not
change of
engage
form
in the
for
services. Yes, so it's like, man, you want something that I have versus like, please do this. And so it was a whole like culture change in the office, and it was a whole culture change with the population. And man, once you spent life in crisis, when you're not in crisis and people are like, oh my gosh, this deadline or this thing or this upset parent, it's like, I understand that this is a crisis for you, and it is. And also in the grand scheme of crises, like we can handle this.
We're trying to get Rob to call your services just to submit him. But
it's just, so what you're saying, Kathryn, is your day to day now is like, it was Tuesday at 10 a.m. like after coffee. You know, like this is a walk in the park for you.
It took some adjusting to, for sure, because if you're used to every loud noise being a crisis, like being able to re-regulate and not be triggered by everything was hard. But
well, we got a couple more questions to move on. It's awesome. So we're just gonna take a moment. We'll ask a couple more questions here. So Kathryn, what piece of advice has made the biggest impact on your life? What would you say?
I would say that the biggest piece of advice that I've gotten is that tomorrow is another day, and the work will be there. I working in high crisis, working with people, decisions that I didn't make might have impacted their life, where they couldn't have the medication that they needed, or visit their family in time, or be late to a court date, or whatever it was. And so really being able to readjust that like tomorrow's another day and the work will be waiting has been really impactful for me, because you're never done working. There's always going to be 50 million other things to do. But you can't pour from an empty bucket. And if you just stay on all the time, you're going to burn yourself out, and you're going to get jaded, and you're not going to like what you do. And then you're working to work instead of working to live. And so having that perspective of being able to like shut off the work part and really focus on the rest of the life part is a lifelong probably challenge, but also super valuable, because there is more to life than
So how do you do that? How do you do that? Because obviously your inbox is always full. You know, tomorrow and
it's all important work. It's all.
So how do you like not? What did you say? You said you don't live to work. You want to work to live. So like how do you keep that perspective?
Having, especially with COVID, this was really helpful because I was working from my couch. And so I would go from my couch back to my couch. And so having something to do at the end of the day, whatever it was. So when I was driving home, I would listen to audiobooks because that would be enough to get my brain to stop thinking about the next thing. Like music, I could just keep thinking about work and I would just power through. But an audiobook would like get me sucked into the story just enough to give myself a mental break. But now that I work from home more, having time to like, okay, now I'm going to start working on dinner, or now I'm going to take the dogs for a walk, or now I'm going to physically get up and do something else, then like delineates the work time from the not work time and gives myself the time to transition, which has been super helpful.
Interesting. That advice, I mean, you're basically segmenting out, you know, that time you're trying to turn the switch as, you know, on and off as much as possible. The high stakes nature though, obviously always wants to pull you back in. So you're, I would assume you're always kind of fighting that switch being half on.
Yeah. And I've also found like, if it is really nagging at me, like just do it, because I'd rather finish the task and then stop thinking about it than try to psych myself into not, like waiting until tomorrow, or like make the to-do list or get up a little bit earlier or whatever it is, but also being able to realize like, I can't today, like I've given everything I can today and people are just going to have to wait. Like you can't do it all.
Right.
And so being able to be like, check in with yourself too and be like, okay, I'm done. Like, and if I keep going, then it's going to hurt me, which is also going to hurt the consumers of whatever it is that I'm doing, because I'm not giving them everything that I need.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about work-life balance, that book I alluded to in yesterday's BNI meeting, the goal.
I have it on hold.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the yin and yang of
It's our plug.
when your personal life is compromised by your work, or your work is compromised by personal, it's that balance, that routine that, you know, creates that happiness. And there's always going to be work. And then the funny thing about it is everybody is replaceable. And once you realize that, you just got to figure out that balance that makes work happy, you happy, a balance and exercise. And when people achieve that, that's what I see, whether it's financial or personal health, it's just, they're happier.
Yeah,
Totally.
So, all right.
All right, Kathryn, I get the most fun question in my mind. What are you most excited about right now?
that's such a heavy question, you know.
It's like heavy and vague.
Yeah, but good. Like just immediately the sun is shining in Portland, which just feels like such a relief. That
That's
was like the immediate thing.
I think we're gonna get 5 minutes of it.
I know, it's awesome. But I really think, just kind of reflecting on that question, is the unlimited growth potential of every person and every position and every opportunity. I think we are all part of a networking group that has been really awesome. I feel like there's been a lot of momentum and growth, and just having conversations with 30 professionals every week just really is inspiring for what the potential options are. And something that I really like is thinking about things in a different way. And so instead of just saying like, this is the way that it's always been, this is how we're going to do it, like, why not try this other thing, or think about it in a different way, or even talking about the business that I do with people who have no idea what my day-to-day looks like, but hearing like, oh, have you ever considered this or that, is really inspiring to me. And like, that's what gets me out of bed every day, is like, man, what can I do differently today? How can I make this better? How can I think about this differently? And ultimately support people. I work in a nonprofit, which is different than other positions, but at the end of the day, we're all providing a service to people to improve their life in some way. And like, that's exciting to me. It's like, what can I learn today that I can pass on, or what nugget of wisdom can I give to you that might help you, or whatever it is, just gets me excited. And I think that that's if you're not doing that, then what are you doing?
Yeah, I love that. I've always prescribed to that idea that you can learn something from everyone, however small. So it's cool to see that reflecting in your life.
Yeah. And it's really an attitude. That's, I think, why the four of us have connected the way that we have, with our individual relationships, of course, but it's that attitude of you're either going to grow or you're going to die.
Yeah.
Or you're growing. You're like, how do we get better? And there's a personal nature of that, the personal growth, business, whether it be nonprofit, it doesn't matter. Like you said, even though you're nonprofit, you're still providing a service, and there is technically, an element of compensation for that. Like, everybody that's doing that work has to still eat. So it's a different angle, I guess, but still the same thing. It goes back to the personal growth.
And if we're helping people and we're growing, it doesn't feel like work. You're just, you're enjoying what you're doing because you are getting personal growth. You are helping other people. And so then, it's not really a job. I know it's a job, you get paid for it, but the time goes faster because you're enjoying what you're doing. And so that's kind of a little bit of utopia right there, if you think about it.
Yeah. Especially in your line of work when things go hard to the left, right?
Right. Yeah. And I just think like something that's super cool about this networking group, but also maybe just the times in general, is that everybody wants everyone to succeed equally. And it's not like, well, I have this piece of knowledge and I'm going to keep it to myself so I can be this person over here by myself. It's really like, how do we all work together and what does that look like? And I mean, there's just so many things to learn and grow and develop through that. It's exciting to bring it back.
I'm just still trying to figure out if Rob even likes me.
Work on him first.
He likes when I spend his money though.
Oh boy. Oh man, don't get me started, Lance. Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
All right, folks. So this is part one of a three-parter. We're going to have Kathryn with us for a couple more episodes, and we're going to dig deeper into where she's at now and where she's headed with this career with Rise Services. Such a fantastic company that provides much needed services. You guys are in a number of different states, aren't you? I mean, you're spread out. You got a bunch of stuff in California. Check out the company. We've got a link here on the website. We've got Kathryn's email, her phone. You can call her up. You can text her a picture of your dog.
Yes, please.
I'm
here for it.
And I'm excited. I met Kathryn. We had a great one-to-one as like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And it was just awesome. And you're exciting to listen to at the BNI group. Very articulate. Like there's a lot of great things that are surrounding you. I can't wait to see where you're going to be 1 year, 3 years from now. So great job. Keep it up, girl.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And having a positive impact on so many people's lives. We're going to get into it further, but the way that Rise operates and the piece of the puzzle that you are at Rise is going to be very cool. There's a lot of career opportunities for folks within this fairly large company. So more to come.
Yes.
We've got our websites up on the screen. If you're watching us in video, if you're in audio, links are going to be in the description. You can get to us, Delavan Realty with Rob Delavan, ROI Financial Advisors, Lance Johnson, Mr. Brilliant at the Basics himself, and then Adrian Shermer, your friendly neighborhood loan officer. We have also got links to Kathryn's site on there, and I think that about wraps it up for us, guys.
riseservicesinc.org, and we'll have all of that there. So.
Thank you very much, Kathryn.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure to have you on.
All right. Looking forward to the next one. All right.
Yeah, me too.
Care.